Okay, great. And it was an IT project, so I'm assuming it was all perfectly smooth sailing. Or maybe there were some pitfalls or learnings that you could share with this audience that maybe you could help them deploy.
Yeah, and I think that there's a couple of lessons. So probably the main one is keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things that BI tools, BI tools have some lovely things in them. You can build all these clever things, Miko charts and average weighted distribution charts and all of these sort of things. And they have their place. They are, in an analyst community, and when people are doing detailed analysis of data, those are great. But if you want to get your end users to use them, you probably need to stick mostly to sort of line charts, bar charts, tables, KPIs, maybe a few scatter plots, but not much beyond that. And I think when we started, we tried to build some quite complex things in, and you went, oh, actually, people looked at them once, you'd explain it to a few people and they'd get it, and then they never look at it again. So, we simplified for that end user community was one of the things that we did. And I think that helped get at people using it. If they can come to a report and they can understand how the chart works and understand how they interact with it, they get all the interaction, the drill down, the slice and dice and so forth. But if they can do that easily in the data, that gets them using it. It's about that, keeping the touch and keeping them engaged in the process. I think also, and we can talk a bit more about it later, maybe is getting senior buy into it. And again, trying to get execs using the tool, making it simple and accessible for them was a key part of that.
Yeah, yeah, great. And to bring it back to Fusion, were there some key features in the Fusion platform that helped with that?
Yeah, and I think it's probably, and I'm going to put it down to I think sort of three things in the Fusion platform. Um, so the first and most obvious one is the one we've talked about already a bit is the organizing the data, organizing the reports. So if you think about apps and how things are designed in Click, they're designed around logical data models, but
Hmm.
that's not how the organization is. You know, we're organized. I have people who look after a ward. They don't want to have to go into an app and find beds and find RTT and all these different apps to find out what their thing is. They want reports that tell them what's happening in their ward. And actually, what Fusion allowed us to do was to create that sort of business semantic layer that said, actually, here's the folder structure, here's wards. I open it up and I've got all the relevant reports that I want for me. And it takes you straight to what is effectively the sheet in ClickSense and takes you to that report and lets you start to interact with it. So it's really putting that layer on top of it. And actually, it works the other way. You may have one app that's supporting multiple groups. We take the reports from each of those and put them into the relevant sections. And we have um, different apps that actually go to support one group, and we actually can bring all of those together through this. So it really provides that sort of business semantic layer on top of it. So that was the first thing. The second is the user groups. So we've created this menu structure that takes us through logically how the business sees the information and wants to analyze the data. The user groups in Fusion allow you to set up a user that what parts of that menu do they see effectively? So I don't necessarily want the ward managers or the service managers to see what the exec team are seeing, so they don't
Right.
get that part of the menu. Similarly, the finance team will have a different menu for them, but actually the user groups allow us to very easily set up areas where people will come in, all the service managers seeing the same sort of menu, and they can drill down and find their particular service and the reports that are relevant for them. So the user groups helps us that extra step of tailoring it for end users.
Got it.
There's a third thing which I think it does, which is slightly simplification of the reports, and it goes with that thing about keeping it simple. Um, Having created my report in Click, there's a there's another step you do to put it into Fusion. It's not very long. It's about a sort of 5-minute process to take a report and put it into Fusion, but it drives a level of structure in there that makes sure that we keep the report fairly simple. And you'll see it, and I think Marcus will take you through some of it, but it shows you, it makes sure we have a relatively consistent design is really what it's doing. Because what I don't want, and one of the things that BI tools do is it allows you to put, oh, I can put it up here, and I can put navigation down here, and I can put a chart up there, and people, I want it to be fairly straightforward. People know when they come into a particular report, where's the navigation, where's the table, where's the report, how do I interact with it? And it drives the level of that as well, which I think has been a sort of the third factor in making Fusion, how Fusion adds to the whole process for us.